So this tutorial has been asked for a really long time. So it's been like 3 months. I think I'm finally going to make it. Like, I have tried to record it a couple times, but I didn't really like the results. So we're on Pinterest. I typed in hair just to find inspo easier, and we're gonna go with this straight hair, which should be a little more simple, easier to follow along with. If you're new to hair, I would recommend starting with like plain straight hair and starting with something simple rather than going into like super extremely detailed like curly hair and stuff, because that's definitely gonna be a lot harder to learn. I'm gonna save image as. Okay, so now that we got the image in here, I'm gonna go to add, go to mesh, go to circle, and before you move anything, change the vertices to 3. You can use 4 or 5, but I would say that 3 is the most efficient. I'm gonna go into edit mode, change it to vertices select, and make it thinner depending on how thin or how thick you want the hair strands to be. I would recommend a bit more squish so it's not like too yeah, okay. I don't know how to explain it, but you'll see. So now I'm gonna convert it to a curve so we can bevel it. Go to curve and add a path. I'm going to shade flat first because shade smooth hurts my eyes. We're gonna go into path select or path settings, whatever. We're going to go to geometry, object. We're going to click the eyedropper tool and click on the circle. So now you see that this is what the path bevels with. Now, if you were to change this, you see how it would go like thicker or thinner. Yeah, so I would recommend just doing it somewhat thinnish. But everyone's style is different. I just personally make things more squished. So I'm going to go into edit mode. Usually the paths are going this way, so this is the start and this is the end. You can check it when you see the arrows pointing that way on the normals, which you can check by adjusting this. I would just move everything so that the very beginning lands approximately on the center of the origin thingy. Like when you set origin, that's where it should be, just so it's easier to rotate around. Now what I'm going to do is select all, so A for all. I'm gonna click Alt S and make it thinner. Now what I'm gonna do is duplicate it and hide it, just so we have a copy of it for later. I would also recommend adding a new collection and naming it path, because I like to keep separate versions just in case I mess up. I can go back to the path and adjust something. Okay, so now that we're here, I'm gonna scale the first beginning vertice with Alt S. Then I'm gonna go and click 1 to go in front view and adjust it in a shape that's sort of like how a skull should look. If the shape looks weird, it's okay because you can adjust it after as a mesh. Now, since we're doing a straight hair, I'm gonna curve it a little bit at the end, but it doesn't need to be. We're gonna click E to extrude, and if you clicked 1 to have the front view, or you can click the button above tab, I think the tilde, you can also see front, blah blah. So I'm going to just click E and have it around the same shape. So as you can tell, it's kind of curved. The mannequin is in the way. You can hide the mannequin, and then you can tell this is the approximate shape. Depending on the hairstyle, it's gonna look different. Just like keep that in mind. Okay, so now since these ends are kind of sharp, I like to make the very bottom sharp, unless you want like a very blunt cut. But other than that, I would keep it that way. I'm gonna go into resolution preview and change it to 5 or 6. That's just my setting, because it would make the top smoother, and we can always get rid of the extra triangles later on. Since the limit is 4,000, these triangles are kind of hard to get rid of, but it's okay. So now that this is the approximate shape I want, I'm going to click Shift D to duplicate. And since the center is already on the very beginning, when you rotate it, it just rotates around that point rather than rotating the whole thing. You can also click Shift to select both. I'm gonna make these two smaller too, so when I merge later, you can tell that's lined up rather than overlapping. And then I'm just gonna keep doing this until I have around halfway. It's okay if there's bald spots, because you can always go back and merge the vertices manually to have it however you want. I'm just gonna do one more, I think should be good. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to select all 4 by clicking Shift. I'm going to go into modifiers, add modifier, add mirror. We're gonna set the mirror object to the mannequin. Then I'm going to click Control L and we're gonna click copy modifiers, so now all of them have the same modifier. What you can do now, you can change like the thickness between the hair strands. I'm probably gonna merge this one, so it's okay. I'm going to scale the second to last down too, because they're looking a little funky. You can't really check how the physical limits are, since you can't make a hair too big or too small. I would just say don't go past where the torso of the block body ends. Okay, now that we have this, I'm gonna fix this hair strand to go over the shoulder. Of course, you can just keep it that way. I'm gonna make this thinner and I'm gonna start twisting it. So Control T can make it go like this. Now, if it still clips through the shoulder a little, it should be fine. It's not that big of a deal, but you can always edit it so that it doesn't. But it doesn't really matter, because when you're wearing animations and stuff, it's gonna look weird anyways. So I have the hair coming out from the front. You can keep it all in the back, but I'm just gonna do it how it looks like. Okay, so now that we have a very bald receding hairline here, I'm gonna click Shift D to duplicate it, go into edit mode and just bring these forward. I'm probably gonna scale these up too so that it matches the thickness a little more, but obviously you don't have to. I think it's just easier to visualize if it's not all like different lengths, because it will definitely look like it's balding, but at the end you can always merge it afterwards, so it doesn't matter too much. So now that we have this funky looking thing, I'm gonna adjust each piece a little more so it's dynamic. What I would recommend doing is also changing the thickness between any parts. So I'm gonna bring this out. Now for the front, it is harder to merge, so I would like be careful of what parts are clipping and what aren't. So do beware of bald spots if it's like not perfectly lined up. Obviously you can adjust it later on, but I just find it easier to prevent it from the start. I do like adding more strands, but we can go in with more details later. I'm just going to duplicate it and make everything thinner. Shift T, I'm going to move it up a little so that there's variation in the strands, because we love variation. Okay, so we're gonna take this one. Now this is where it starts getting like a little bit confusing. I'm gonna duplicate it. Oh, that should not have happened. I'm gonna move it forward. Now I'm gonna select these and twist it so that it's curved in the front, so it's like you can see it's going that way. Yeah, so we have this part. Usually I would like make the strands here thinner, and oh, okay, that's not. I'm gonna twist it here too, just so that it lines up a little more with, and then I'm just gonna keep duplicating it and adjusting it until it looks like it's supposed to look like that. Now near here it might look weird. Usually I just use bangs to cover everything because I can't make the front look good without it, and obviously this takes time and practice, so don't expect it to look perfect the first time, because even right now it's not looking too great. I'm going to add more details, and we can then fix the skull shape because it's looking a little flat up here, and as you can tell it's rounder here. I like to add extra details, so I'm gonna start by duplicating one of the strands in the back. I'm going to select all and size it down. Then I'm gonna take like these outer strands and pull it out. Then with the really top strand, I would just make it a bit taller than the rest. I usually make it like thin. I would also twist it so it might be easier to see. I'm gonna do it one more time for here. I'm gonna rotate it a bit so that it's not all like on top of, okay, that's not on top of each other. I'm going to merge this middle part here, so it won't look like this in the end, okay guys, don't worry. Okay, I have the base done. We have to fix the top, but first we're going to separate some of the big pieces and small pieces, since I just find that a lot easier. So I'm gonna select these small, like extra tinier pieces. Technically if it's in the front it doesn't really count, but I'm just gonna group it together just so it's easier to identify. But you also don't need to do this step. I'm just gonna do it anyways. I'm going to duplicate everything. I'm going to select everything manually. Now before I convert it to mesh, I'm going to click the X if there's a mirror. If there's no mirror modifier applied, you can just leave it like that. I'm going to click Ctrl L and link. and copy modifier, so it removes the ones that are mirrored. So when we go to decimate it later or get rid of triangles, it will be a lot easier. So now that we have this funky thing, I'm gonna select everything. Okay, so now I'm going to right click and convert to mesh, and now it's a mesh. Wow. I'm gonna reapply the modifiers to the places that are supposed to have modifiers. So I'm just gonna select everything, hold shift to select multiple things. I'm gonna add modifier, add mirror again, mirror object, that, control L, copy modifiers, and now we have everything as a mesh instead. Now I'm going to start off with merging, so I'm going to first make this small collection, like the collection with the tiny strands, go away first so we can see this a bit clearer. So in the places that are more straight and has less curves, you can get rid of more edge loops. So what an edge loop is basically the original triangle shape that we made, but it goes around to bevel it. So if I click Alt and click down on a loop, it selects all 3 edges. Now how this is helpful is when you get rid of edge loops, you also get rid of triangles and vertices. So I'm gonna start selecting. I would leave like the top a bit more curved so it looks less crunchy, but if it's like straight, this is why straight hair is easier. You can just select every other loop. Hold shift and alt while clicking down so you can select multiple edge loops. Now near the end, I'm gonna leave these alone so that they're more curved, but if we still need to get rid of them, then we can adjust it later. I would suggest keeping all these loops in a lined up order, just so when I merge them, they're around like the same area rather than flying out of nowhere. Okay, now that we have the majority of it selected, I'm gonna click X, hover over dissolve edges, and then it basically gets rid of all those loops, and as you can tell, the triangles went down a lot. Now if you still have more, since this is straight hair, you can keep doing it. So I'm just going to take a few more. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna merge some vertices. So I'm gonna click tab. Now we have to, I'm gonna join these 3 first. So Control J and it joins, or you can right click. Now we're going to click, you can go into wireframe mode by clicking Z, or you can click Alt Z and it would have like this kind of see-through, which I think it's easier than wireframe because it kind of hurts my eyes. I'm going to select all of these and just merge at center. We're going to select all of these and manually do them one by one because that's really fun. Now that I got near the end here, I'm not going to merge it just so it looks more natural because it would look kind of weird. So I'm going to keep it like that. Make sure you join the objects so it actually can be merged into the same object. Okay, now that we got closer to where it looks kind of funky, I'm just going to scale the distance between the two so that it doesn't look that bad. I mean, you can try and see for yourself, but I will not be going there. I'm going to also join these two together and merge these centers. And then now we're going to apply the mirror modifier. So for this one, I'm just going to merge these at center again so that it's in the center so that the little bald spot there isn't bald anymore. Now that it's mirrored, I accidentally did the middle line until I realized I did the wrong thing because I'm really smart. We're just gonna merge all of these together. Okay, I'm gonna bring back the pieces in the front now because we gotta deal with those too. So that's just fun and amazing. I'm gonna do these front pieces first and then worry about those because they don't really require that much changing. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with these front pieces and get rid of some triangles. Ooh. Once again, go for the parts that look straighter so there's less of a curve that you're getting rid of. Okay, so you know how this kind of looks like it's clipping through? I would just turn on proportional editing, which is O, and move these pieces a little bit so that they don't look like that. And for the beginning pieces, I'm going to select these and pull it back a bit until it kind of looks like it's sticking with this back piece. I'm just going to repeat that. What you can also do is turn on snap. So let me select both. If it was just this magnet, I would snap to edge. I don't know what the other settings are, so I would just snap it onto here. Or actually, I can merge these. Okay, let me just merge them. So what I'm gonna do in the front is I'm merging these areas, and then for the parts that no longer like really show, I will just adjust it a little bit manually so that it looks smooth. Now, so if it doesn't line up, like if there aren't the exact same amount of vertices in the same area, then I would just snap it to the edges. Okay, now that everything is all fine and dandy, I'm going to join these two parts. Oh, we're going to apply the modifier because I just forgot to do that. And then we're going to join it. Yay. Okay, so now that we vaguely have this flat-ish shape, we're gonna get rid of triangles once again. We're at like the general almost finished product. I'm gonna first check if the head shape is correct. Usually when hairs are flat, it's kind of weird. So I'm going to duplicate this whole folder and we're going to join everything. Now what I'm gonna do is go into mesh, or whatever this is called. I'm gonna auto smooth, and then we're gonna shade smooth. So without auto smooth, it would look like this. With auto smooth, it would look like this. And if some places still look choppy, you can always change it to 60. It would make it not as sharp. Or what you can also do is click Alt and click this whole edge, click Control E and mark sharp, and then it will be sharper than the rest. So I'm gonna stick with 30 because I don't want that. But if you do that, I would mark sharp everything. So now that we're at this step where everything looks done, we're going to check the normals. So as you can tell, it's broken. I'm going to go to edit, select all, and click Shift N. The blue part means that it will show up on Roblox, and the red part means that it will be see-through. So now that you see that this is broken because I messed up earlier, we have to fix it. So what I'm gonna do is select Alt Shift Control and just select these two areas, and these bottom parts might also not show, so just make sure you select every single part and every part is shown. Shift D to duplicate and then click down, and then Shift N to flip it inside out, and now it's purple and reddish, but it will show. What you can also do to check is go to viewport shading, click the second one, open the drop down, click black face culling, and if it's not see-through, then it means your model is completely fine. Yeah, I messed this up a lot. So for me, I usually put bangs, but at the moment the triangles is under the limit. So if you like your hair like this, whatever, it's all fine. We're gonna do the UV. So usually the UV for paths are already done, so don't change anything, like don't click anything. I'm going to click all, R and 90, so it's switched to 90 degrees. Or if you make your hair textures, my hair textures are vertical, okay? So that's the point. We're gonna go into material, new, add, okay, that's great too. Add image texture. I already have a bunch of hair textures done. Click Z and go to material preview, and this is what the hair would look like with texture. What you can also do is be in solid mode, click the drop down and make the color texture instead of material, and this is also what you can tell with more shading. So this is the final product, or not really the final product for me. I'm gonna do a part 2 where I teach you how to do bangs. So if you're interested in that, definitely stay tuned, I guess. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, so this is what it looks like with texture. This is what my texture looks like. So when it's mapped out like this, it just goes downward instead of sideways, like it's automatically made. So just make sure it has the same alignment, or else it will look weird. Because look, this is what it looks like before, and that's like, I don't know what's going on. So just check your UV map as well. Okay, thank you.